Today on the show, on What the Hell Did We Just Watch, we bring back the segment, If I Woulda Done It. For this week's film, Sky High. All this and more on What the Hell Did We Just Watch? Welcome to another episode of What the Hell Did We Just Watch? I'm your host, Loumotional Lou. How's everybody doing this week? I hope everybody's having a great time. I hope everybody has also had a great weekend. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. My weekend was good. Recording, that's what I do mostly on the weekends. As you can see, I am solo again. I'm enjoying this. I'm just giving this, some little momentum, seeing if I can make this show a very different kind of show when I'm on the show by myself and things like that. I want to know that I can carry this on my shoulders without the need of guests all the time. You know what I mean? As you can see. So I'm trying. I hope I'm doing a good job. I hope that did not lose any of my listeners, or hopefully not all of them. This week, we bring back the segment, If I Woulda Done It. Now, if this is the first episode that you're listening to of this kind of segment, basically what I do here is that I basically take a film that was made, whether I liked it or maybe if I hated it or whatever my feelings were towards it. And if I feel like that the film deserves kind of like a redo, kind of like if the script was given to me and I basically script doctored it and kind of like fixed it into what hopefully makes it a better movie, then I have hopefully did something well, did something that hopefully people enjoyed. So basically I just take the film, I try to make sure that it stays within its kind of like tonal space. I don't go out too crazy. I make sure that the film is where the film needs to be in the way that the kind of film originally made it. Like, I'm not going to say that a drama should be a sci-fi or jump genres or things like that. I'm going to keep it with its tonal space, like I said, and I'm going to try my best to see if I made a better movie, or maybe if it was a movie you hated and you're listening and maybe you thought, hey, his version is better. It sounds really freaking cool. Too bad they're not making it. Or maybe they will. Who knows? Maybe somebody important is listening out there and will probably want to take my idea and run with it. But hey, all is fair in movie awareness. You know what I mean? That's what I'm done. That's what I'm here trying to spread. I'm trying to spread movie awareness, and I hope that I'm doing a good job at it. So without further ado, I want to talk about Sky High. This film is not entirely bad. I actually like it. I'm more on the like it side with this film. I think it's above average. It's very good. I think it's worth people's time to watch it, especially if they're superhero fans, especially if you like high school movies and things like that, like when it comes to like diversity and being bullied and all that stuff. Those kind of movies, I personally like those kinds of movies. Maybe that's the reason why I'm a big, huge John Hughes fan. Like he was all about school, 16 Candles and Weird Science and being bullied, and of course Breakfast Club, that was one of his fortes. But I was just like a huge fan of like 80s films that had to take place in school or high school or middle school or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. That's what makes this kind of film, I think, really good. Now, before I start talking about it, Sky High is a film directed by Mike Mitchell, who, believe it or not, I'm going to say one of his earliest films, and I'm going to say one of his latest films. And now, in terms of his earlier films, he's the director of Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. I don't know how the hell that happened, but this is what's actually funny, because some directors can redeem themselves. And the latest film that he directed, which got a lot of praise for it, if you like animation, is the movie Trolls, the movie that just came out about trolls, the little dolls things, So then, he's pretty good. The writers, they weren't anybody known. They were more generic writers that Disney has, because, you know, every film company has a team of people. And when they want to make a movie, they don't always get somebody that's worth paying for. So they have a team of writers to write stuff. So they got some generic writers. I won't mention their names because it doesn't really matter. But they were the writers that wrote like basically all the major Disney films sequels. They basically wrote all their sequels, like Lion King 2.5, Aladdin, Prince of Thieves, I think that was one of the sequels, and things like that. So, like, you know where they're coming from. So now you know what I mean by like Disney's writers. Now what I want to do is about Sky High. I just want to talk about like what is good about this movie, the stuff that I wouldn't have changed, the stuff that works, you know. So like I said, the film is a high school film. I dig it. That's totally fine. It goes along the lines of the genre because of the film Harry Potter and the Harry Potter series and how successful that was. It goes into that kind of a world, you know what I mean? Where it's like you got a world where heroes and villains exist, superheroes and supervillains exist. You got this kid, Will Stronghold, who has the most famous superheroes, you know, the city's ever seen, the Strongholds, and they're husband and wife. They're his parents, and so he feels that he needs to live up to it. And so he has taken upon himself to make his parents actually believe that he has super strength, because he does not have any super strengths or any superhero kind of like things. He has no powers, you know, and that's a big like problem, especially when you're on your way to high school, your first day of high school, where all the kids that go there have superhero, you know, lineage, basically. Because I don't want to say that the people that only go there are people with powers, though the majority of the people that go there are people with powers. Here's this character who has a family of superpowered people, and he has no powers, but obviously he's still going to that school because his lineage. And then you got not only him, but you have this other character named Ron Wilson, who they always keep mentioning him as Ron Wilson, bus driver. He is another person that's exactly like Will, no powers, but he has superhero parents. Well, at least had, because, you know, he's a lot older. He's a bus driver, but he has no powers, just like Will, exactly. So that's a good like thing that coincides with the film and things like that. It makes you kind of like, oh wow, this really sucks. He has no powers, you know. So that I like. The Ron Wilson bus driver subplot is great. I love the fact that they have what they call power placement. So when you go in, is exactly like the Sorting Hat in Harry Potter. Same shit. So they go into power placement, and the coach, which is Coach Boomer, who is played by the awesome Bruce Campbell, he is like an ex-superhero turned coach, works for the school now. I like that. I like that little kind of like some world like that, where it's like, oh, I quit superhero dumb and I'm going to try just going to school, being a teacher or whatever, make money like that, or just work, you know. And so he got power placement, and his job is to know what the new students' powers are, and based on those powers, he will make the decision whether or not he should put the student in hero support or hero class, which hero support is sidekick class. They call them sidekicks. So it's hero or sidekick. You know, so they're going through all the motions of people like that. And Will Stronghold has a friend, a girl named Layla, who can basically manipulate plant life. She could turn anything, you know, any dead flowers into alive flowers. She can do all those kinds of things. And while they were doing power placement, she felt the need that she doesn't feel like she should show her powers until they're needed, and she kind of resisted. So based on that, she got forced into sidekick class. Along came Will, who when his turn came, and he had to whisper like he doesn't know what his power is, and you know, the coach thought that he was joking, that he wasn't, you know, that he thought he was joking, and that he did have powers. So he did some things, and then he was like, what happened? And he was like, I told you I don't have any powers. So he was like, oh shit, basically, in a nutshell. It's a Walt Disney film, so nobody curse. So, but he's like, oh shit, and he just put him in sidekick class. And so here we got Will Stronghold, who has the greatest family of superheroes ever known, and he's now in sidekick class. Again, I like all this stuff that's going on. I love it, because if you're smart enough, you know where the film is going. You know what I mean? So I'm enjoying what's going on. I think that's great. What I love about the school and the superhero stuff, I love the puns. They're all good. It honors past films and it honors past TV shows, you know, like Batman, the TV show, the original Superman films and things like that. This was during the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it's not going to make any fun of that, but there is like a Spider-Man kind of character where he's like walking up the walls and things like that, which is pretty cool. I love the story of Gwen Grayson. Not everything, but most of it. I love that she is the secret villain. I love the fact that she has like a group of people. She got these people like Whip and Lash, you know, which one can run fast and one that can stretch. And then you got this girl that can multiply herself. I forget her name, but she's actually a twin. So it's her and her sister and her twin sister, and they just multiply, which is pretty cool. But they're one person in the film, you know, so they make great use of multiplying her. So that way both sisters can be in the film. Another great thing, the Layla naturally, like I said, naturally being a hero, but chooses to be a sidekick. I think that's good for morals and things like that. Builds character to Layla. I think that the discussion that he has a little bit later with his father about how he said that he washed out of hero class and he did not get to be in hero class, that he became a sidekick. And again, is like, that's where the story actually is. The gist of it is like, that's really cool, because he manned up and told his father that he's not in hero class, that he's in hero support / sidekick class. And then, you know, that's just the way that he manned up. And then after he talked to his father respected him a little bit. And then not only that, but his classmates respected him a lot more, because they were all there doing homework together. And, you know, they overheard his father talk about what's going on. And after that, they just kind of respected him, like in a way a hero would be respected. And that's I've always thought that was cool. Like, defending the sidekicks makes him a hero, at least in his friend's eyes. So that right there, you already see that the film is going in the right direction, if you ask me. Now there's this other character which was also introduced, which is kind of like one of the bad seeds of the school. He's the loner type. He's the guy that nobody likes to talk to because he's intimidating. And that's the character Warren Peace. Yeah, I said that right. Warren Peace. I always thought that name was pretty freaking cool, yo. This is what's cool about his little backstory. His mom is a hero and his dad is a supervillain. And Will Stronghold's father put him in prison. And his father's name is Baron Battle. You know, so that's the kind of thing they have like that. So, you know, so he's got beef with Will because of the history and things like that. But it's kind of fucked up, because Will Stronghold doesn't know anything about that stuff. You got this guy Warren who wants blood from, basically he's out for blood for Will because of what happened. And, you know, he's basically the sins of the father a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's the way that it is. I think this is pretty fucking cool. What else I love? I love the fact that after they fight, he gets his powers right then and there, because that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? Just like how Spider-Man kind of like it succumbs in a fight. I always liked it when they get in a fight, and that's when they get their powers. They manifest through stress, basically. I loved where they end up. I thought that was a cool ass room, the detention room, where it's like a room for the students. Their powers get knocked out. Nobody has powers in that room, and I think it neutralizes all powers. I think it's really cool. They have a mad science teacher. Instead of the science teacher, they have a mad science teacher. His name is, they call him Medulla, and he's like one of those old school sci-fi characters with like a huge head. You know what I mean? I thought he was cool. He's a supervillain. You actually can tell that he's a supervillain. He, just like supervillains, just like Coach Boom, retired supervillain becomes a teacher. I think things like that are really freaking cool. They're pretty genius, if you ask me, in terms of writing. the happy moment that his father has when he had the fight, when Will had the fight, and his father, he's like, oh my God, my kid has super strength. And like the mom is all mad and the father was pretending to be mad. And the second the mom goes away, he's like all happy and shit, you know. I think that's pretty cool. I love Gwen Grayson's character. Like I said earlier, her character is a technopath. That there aren't that many people like that. That's pretty cool that she can control the power of technology with her mind. I love all the villains in this movie. They're actually all really good. You know, let's see, because I don't want to get too much into Gwen Grayson because I'm going to say what I don't like about her in a little bit. I love the fight at the end. That's fine. A huge credit on the practical stunts. I really like their use of stunts in this film without using the CGI because I think it worked out a lot. Now I want to get into the bad part about the film. The bad stuff. There aren't that many, but the ones that I have, I think they do count. I personally don't like the baby stuff. I think it should have been a mind control ray or something like that. They mostly stuck with talking about rays in this film, and the pacifier is a ray as well. But if we could have changed that and called it like something else that does mind control, I think it would have been a much better use of the weapon. You know what I mean? Because Gwen Grayson, Royal Pain, is got a gun and she wants to raise basically a troop of supervillains. She wants to make supervillains and she wants to make a supervillain academy. You know what I mean? So and that's fine. I liked all that stuff. But the fact that she was going to raise all those babies to become evil, I think that's kind of stupid. I personally think that if it was a mind control gun, she could have done the same exact thing and they can all be their age and whatever. So like that one scene at the end when they're all fighting, which is cool. I like that stuff. But the fact that people were getting turned into babies, I thought was kind of ridiculous. And just because it's a Disney movie, they should not go to that. You know what I mean? They shouldn't hinder themselves and make a movie like that. Because I think that was one of the reasons why the movie failed, if you ask me. You tell me what you think. The thing about Gwen Grayson, I don't like the fact that she was accidentally turned into a baby and then grew up again so she can get revenge on the Stronghold family, you know, stuff like that. I never liked that plot point. Now, if she was the daughter of Royal Pain and the fact that Gwen takes her mother's name, I love that. It makes the fight so much better. It makes the surprise a lot cooler. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think that works a lot better. You know what I mean? If she was the daughter and not the mother, that her mom died, you know, maybe by the blast of the pacifier or whatever, it would have been a lot better. And that her father and then Royal Pain's evil sidekick raises her daughter. That would have been just fine. The thing that I cannot stand the most is the soundtrack. And I don't mean the score. The score by Michael Giacchino is actually just fine. I actually like the music. I've actually hummed it out of nowhere lots of times. So there's nothing wrong with that. The thing that I have a problem with is the 80s soundtrack. The choices of music. Now, the music is actually fine. The music is fantastic. The problem is that all the 80s songs that are on it are all covers. So if you're not even going to get the original music, don't even bother. You know what I mean? That's one. Two, just because you want to make an 80s style high school movie doesn't mean you should make it an 80s style high school movie. It should have been modern music. It should have been a film for people of that time so that way they can relate to it better. Because if you ask me, they didn't relate to it. Maybe you were trying to get people to like these old songs. Well, you failed miserably because you used covers. That's the worst idea. Don't use covers to make people like 80s music. That's a big no-no. So if you're gonna get the covers, don't even bother. Make it all modern music. You know, it should be like that. It should have been like that from the get-go anyway. It should have been music from that time, whenever it was. It shouldn't have been old music because it doesn't relate, you know, to the people that you should have been, you know, angling this movie for. Maybe that's why I like it, because I think I'm too old for that kind of movie, but I would have liked it if it was modern music anyway. You know, because like I said, I love films about high school and diversity and all that stuff, you know, labels, basically just labeling people in school. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. You know, so that concludes what I think is the bad about the film. And what was good. Now, if I would have done it and I made the film the way that I wanted to, just like I said, make Gwen the daughter, make her have these supervillain classmates as well, things like that, an up and coming thing that she's trying to do. You know, it coincides with like the Stronghold family, you know, how they want to do a trio and all that stuff. This is basically her little mini team. It's a little small team, you know what I mean? And I think the film would have worked. It would have been a much better film. Chill a little bit off with the funniness for funny's sake, and then it would have been a lot better. But I love the puns. You know what I mean? So, but there's a finesse way to do it. Now, if this film came out and it became successful and they said, we need more movies, dude, trust me, this is actually the very first time I'm going to issue in If I Woulda Done It, one film with sequels. I actually have a 4-part sequel, one for every year that he's in school, Will Stronghold. Now, this is what's cool. So now that I've gotten down with the movie for you, the first film, Sky High, Evil is Punished, and my favorite part is that is the slogan that at the end of the film that says, he says that his girlfriend became his arch enemy became his best friend, and his best friend became his girlfriend. But hey, that's high school. I like that line, and that's a great ending to that film. Here we got sophomore year, you know what I mean, the sequel. First day of class, Layla gets told that she needs to go to hero class. She's not fit to be in hero support anymore because of the events of what happened in the first film. You know, her powers finally came out. It got out what she did, and well deserved. She gets to go to hero class. Now, first she objects because of the whole labels thing and how that works and all that. But eventually she just said, you know what, I'm going. And so she went. So she, because she saw a way to make a difference if she went to hero class. So that's fantastic. Now she gets to be in classes with her boyfriend. Yay, Will and Layla, they're together. That's so cute, Now, this is where it gets cool. So it's like, okay, so you got that. You settled that down. What else have you got? I have a villain. Okay, and not only that, I have a surprise villain. So we find out that in the beginning of the film, during the beginning of the film, along there, what sets it all up, War and Peace is because he was a senior. He graduates. He gets to go with Freeze Girl, which is cool. That's his girlfriend. We add a new character to the mix. Welcome, Freeze Girl. And they're a couple that, just like the Strongholds, they fight evil. You know what I mean? So he's a hero. And you got his girlfriend, who's also a hero, and they fight crime. Fantastic. Year 2 is going on, and we get to meet a new character, a new manipulative, evil character. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to get into powers or anything like that, because I'm not really sure. That part, I never really got so in depth with it, but he is a villain. And he is basically the nuisance in the school, basically probably doing things like blaming Will Stronghold for doing things he didn't do, making him look like he's the bad guy or a guy that's turning bad, and this guy is basically coming in to quote unquote save the day, makes himself look good and all that stuff, and makes Will look bad in school. And, that's bad for everybody. He's getting blamed for all kinds of shit. You find out that, this transfer is bad. Everybody's starting to see he's really bad. And then you find out that the person who his basically mentor is, or whatever, like a person who's teamed up with him, is Baron Battle. Because earlier in the film, there is a small mention, because I forgot to mention it, but there is a small mention that there is a prison break. They didn't say who is, because it was such a scuffle. So they didn't say who got out and all this and that. We're probably led to believe that it was Royal Pain. And then we found out that it wasn't. We find out that it was this young kid who was mentored in jail and put into the school system, and basically is there to destroy the Stronghold, the Will Stronghold, club, the whole group of friends, you know what I mean? Zach and Magenta and the kid Popsicle, Ethan, all this stuff, they're all sidekicks, but he's made to break them from the inside. And then we find out later in the film that the person that was manipulating all this, that basically made it all happen, is Baron Battle, War and Peace's father. I think that's phenomenal. I think personally that's a great idea, and that makes for a great sequel too. So basically, evil is punished again. I'm just keeping it short. I'm giving you guys a kind of like a mental note on how I think it works. So basically, they all fight Baron Battle. War and Peace has to fight his father. His father's upset that his son has chosen the way of being good, to being a hero and things like that. So he like threatens his life, and he threatens like his friends and all that stuff. And they all have to team up together again to kind of like help out. Now, this is actually was pretty cool. So it's like, where's the growth of the hero support, the rest of the people? I think that in this film, I think that the weakest person, who I felt was Ethan, finally, manifests himself. His powers actually grow in a way, and his melting power becomes a liquid power. Like, he basically can soften, harden, get into any place, get really strong, kind of like the Sandman, but with water. Like how he's able to morph into any kind of form of liquid, any volume, anything like that. Basically a little bit like how you saw in the first film, like how he was turning into liquid and all that stuff. But now this time, in order for him to fight, he'll hardened. So that way it makes him stronger, makes him tougher, and it makes him a formidable fighter, I believe. So he kind of like manifests in the sequel when he's most needed, and people will cheer and people will be all happy and cool. And I would be one of those people too. That would be like, wow, finally, that's really freaking cool. That's awesome. And Zach and Magenta are doing their thing still, but they're not quite there yet. And maybe I'll just keep it a secret that, things like that happen. But for the most part, Ethan, basically is boom. He's bumped up. He's got this awesome power and all this and that. And that ends the sequel. It's a lot. And what I like about that sequel is that it gives you more. It's the second year. It gives you a lot more action, a lot more fun, a lot more surprises. Now, when we get to part 3, this will actually, what I feel, will be a two-parter. This film will be done in one sequential moment instead of like saying, let's do a 3 and then let's do a 4. Let's just make it a 3 and 4. You know what I mean? The junior year and senior year. With this film, is so Popsicle became a shifter of liquid, so he gets transferred to Hero. So basically, there's a pattern here. Everybody's moving up along the way. Now, in this film, like I wanted to keep it. The reason why it's the two-parter is because I love trilogies. I'm a huge fan of trilogies. So when it comes to this film, all bets are off. I've always believed in the formula of trilogies where on the third one, all bets are off, and the person that you didn't think that was going to manifest itself does. Now, what I mean by that is that we find out that Royal Pain, the mother, didn't die. We find out that she breaks out her daughter. So now there's 2 Royal Pains out there, and they all have now basically a very small supervillain academy in a way. So it's like the reality of the Royal Pains has come true. In prison or wherever it was that they have recruited a small army of supervillains that are going to get together and basically take over the world, and starting with the city of Maxville, the metropolis of Maxville. They incapacitate, like this is where all bets are off. They incapacitate all the heroes, all the major heroes. So the mom, the Stronghold family, anybody that's like a hero, that's being a hero now, has been put to rest in a way. They haven't been killed, but they're gone. They, and we don't know why, but they disappeared. The city is heroless. So now what needs to happen? The students have to come up and basically be the heroes that they're not ready to be. You know what I mean? So that's when I think that in a two-part series where you get a film where the first half is the story plot, and we're probably gonna upgrade Zach's power. Actually, I should say, let's do Magenta's power first, where her shape shifting into a guinea pig finally manifests itself, where she can shift into any animal. You know what I mean? So this is where like things are like, you know, everybody, basically this whole team right here, we're all late bloomers. You know what I mean? So Magenta is able to come in and save the day for whatever the plot point should be. But what I, you know, in terms of fighting and all that, I didn't put all these things in a certain spot because, you know, I would have to be really like accurate about stuff. But the plot point is that the two royal pains are out there. They're making heroes of the city disappear. And basically they're trying to figure out what happened to all of them. You know what I mean? That's it. That's the plot point for 3. And it ends with all the heroes disappearing. Instead of like on the beginning, that whole film of part 3 would be the disappearance of all the heroes and them trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do. But there's fighting going around in there and things like that. And there's the disappearance of War and Peace and Freeze Girl, or maybe just Freeze Girl. I'm not sure if things like that. But like, I'm sure that you're getting what I'm saying. You know what I mean? And that causes a real big problem in the world that they live in the city that they live in. After that, you got into part 4, where part 4 is very more desolate. Supervillains run it, the whole city now, and things like that. The heroes that were in school, they have to be careful not to be seen and things like that. They're all in hiding. All the villains are out. Even the supervillain kids are running amok and things like that. So like the people that, you know, are their age that were always raised going to be villains, evil has taken a plunge. Basically, it's all Evilville. You know what I mean? Maxville has turned to Evilville. So basically, with the 4th one, they find out what happened to all the families. I mean, all the superheroes, which basically I think that were taken to kind of like another dimension where their powers don't work, sort of like basically a big detention hall, you know, so to speak, but not really. So it's more like a phantom zone. That's what it is. It's more like a phantom zone, for lack of a better word of knowing what it is. Phantom zone is basically a place where it's a prison in Superman's world, where if any superhero person goes, well, not any superhero, but Superman, if he goes there, he loses his powers. He has no powers, because that's what the Phantom Zone is about. You know, it's a place where prisoners from Krypton get sent to, and other criminals as well, as we learn in comic books. But that's where they find out that he was at. They find a way out without using their powers. Will Stronghold has to now use his powers when he gets into this place. You know what I mean? To this Phantom Zone. Finds a way to get out. They get out. The Royal Pains. Evil is punished. Everybody gets their superpowers. Zack becomes Zack Attack and is able to manifest like a Jubilee, basically just manifest light and, you know, diversive kind of like powers and things like that. So where it comes in handy, it'll be used. He also becomes a formidable fighter, as we find out in secret that he's been learning how to fight, which I think is pretty fucking cool. If it was a secret like that it just comes out of nowhere, I think that really, really works. You got a part 1, a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4. Evil is punished. You know what I mean? And Royal Pains are gone after that. And the entire, basically what you have just witnessed is that all the superheroes come back and they all get together and defeat evil. More importantly, the characters, our main characters, become a big team for the first time in one movie. So it's kind of like an Avengers movie in a nutshell. Everybody loves a team up, right? Everybody loves a superhero team up. I personally like a superhero team up. So I think I've talked way too much about Sky High. I think I've spread movie awareness enough for one day. So let me know. Did you guys think that Sky High was a much better version in this way? Do you think the sequels work? Do you think that the sequels got great ideas? If maybe just shelled out a little bit more, there will be some more good ideas on there. But in a nutshell, you got part 2 where it's a new villain and War and Peace's father. And then you got part 3 and 4 where the Royal Pains get together, they team up and create a world of supervillains. All the superheroes are gone and all the supervillains are running amok. And then they finally come back, the superheroes, and they wreak havoc. The evil is punished. It's superheroes versus supervillains in a final battle. You know what I mean? And that'll be great. I think that works. And that's it, man. That's all I got. So, without further ado, just let me tell you guys that you can listen to me on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, Podbay. You can follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/whatthehellpcast, twitter.com/thehellpcast, facebook.com/whatthehellpcast. You can follow me on YouTube and search What the Hell Did We Just Watch? On SoundCloud, What the Hell Did We Just Watch? You can search engine that. Trust me, it's all there. All the episodes are there for all your listening pleasure. And I hope that you keep listening, because in the future, in the very near future, we're going to make some changes. As you've been seeing, that there's changes going on, but there's going to be some more changes, some visually styling changes, if you know what I mean. So just stay tuned. Hang back, listen to the sultry sound of Loumotional Lou and him getting emotional about all these movies for no goddamn reason, except for the fact of spreading movie awareness and pleasuring your ears. So, Loumotional Lou, what the hell did we just watch? And I just got one thing to say. Peace out, yo.